Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about my three largest bets within this market. These are the three tokens that I have been accumulating heavily lately, and a lot of these three tokens are not a big surprise to anybody. If you have been watching the channel for a while, you know that these tokens are three of my favorite tokens, just from like the utility perspective, but also the upside potential on them. These are not low caps or anything like that, but these are just my three biggest bets within this market. And with that being said, let's dive in, let's stop wasting time, and let's talk about the three tokens that I personally am watching for to make a ton of money in the next cycle. So, first off, this entire market is extremely undervalued. When you look at this market from a perspective of being in this market for a while, understanding where we were at the all-time highs, and then looking at the market cap and the price of some of these assets, it's like, wow, this is absolutely ridiculous. There is a fire sale going on, and we have the opportunity of a lifetime to jump into some of these tokens at some incredible levels. Even Bitcoin. I mean, technically, listen, I don't hold any Bitcoin at this current moment in time, but it is extremely undervalued compared to where we were back in November. And a lot of tokens are like that. This is why bear markets are the greatest moment in time to not only make a ton of money, but also set yourself up for financial freedom. On the 24-hour span, we do see a lot of tokens doing some major runs up. In my opinion, the top 100 tokens are not going to make you extremely financially free. I'm not going to say that they're not going to make you extremely wealthy or anything like that, but will you be financially free from them? It's hard to say. It's a different story for everyone. Some people need $100 million, some people need, 100 or like $100,000. It's different for everyone. But I will say this. I do hold a lot of tokens that are in the top 100, but these three tokens, LCX, AllianceBlock, and also Casper, are well above or within the range of the top 100. For an example, LCX is number 433, AllianceBlock is number 740, and Casper's 151. Now, like I said, these are not low cap gems. Some of them are, like, LCX and AllianceBlock are a lot lower than Casper. I'm going to go off of the fully diluted market cap just because it is a little bit more realistic, but LCX is the number one that we are starting with. LCX has been one that I've been accumulating heavily lately, and it has moved up into my top 5 spots in order of the amount of tokens that I'm holding, but also even the amount of value that I'm holding. I have a very significant amount of money invested into LCX, and this is one that I've been watching very, very closely because if you go and look at the all-time chart for this thing, I mean, come on, it is extremely undervalued. I'm very excited for, seeing the price at around this range that we are at now because it reminds me of the summertime of 2021 when we were buying this thing heavily at around 3 cents before it ran up to about 50 some cents. And I think that this is actually a little bit, I think that this is off because if we go over here to the price statistics, I know on Coinbase the price was a little bit different. Yeah, like the all-time high was about 70 and a half cents. Yeah, that's more like it. I know that we hit about over a 2 or a 20x on this asset in a very quick time frame too. Like this is from, August all the way to about like November. So, not long at all. So this one was one of my favorite gems during that time because it was a utility grade gem and it was extremely undervalued at that point in time as well. Recently we did get listed on some major markets like Coinbase, Kraken, something like that. But, this still has incredible, listing opportunities ahead of it, like Binance. I'm very excited to see the future of LCX, and like I said, the token itself does have a ton of utility behind it. LCX is the fuel of the LCX.com blockchain platform and even their cryptocurrency exchange. We recently broke down LCX quite a bit in my last video on it. I think it was it's like a 3050x or something like that video that I was talking about LCX because I do think that this is going to be a very large gem. I mean, like if you look at what is happening behind the scenes for LCX. They are building out an incredible project, suite, and project suite. And when you look at this, right, LCX Exchange, DeFi Terminal, Vault, Price Oracle, token sales, like there is so much happening here from LCX. And, like I said, they have some key exchange listings, but these are like bare minimum. I mean, LCX.com, yeah, it's great. Uniswap, it's okay. But like, these are like the only main ones. We need a lot more exchange listings, and I think that that is great for the future price action of LCX. And like I said, this one has been building out some monstrous, products, and they are very quality products too. Like even if you go over, I think it was STO Launchpad or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's STO Launchpad. Let me check this out and make sure that this is the right one that I was talking about. I don't think that this was it. I think it was the DeFi platform that they have. Or yeah, it was under their decentralized exchange. Yeah, this is what it was, Salamander. So yeah, like this is what we want to see. Like this is some quality, work here. Even if you go over to like the basic swap, like this is still a little bit of a work in progress. In regards to like the dashboard, because like I don't have any of my stuff in here. Like I don't have a wallet connector or anything like that. But this is very high quality work if you actually look at like some of the other graphics within this market. But again, like I said, they are not doing things in a low tier area. They are actually working at a high tier area within a lot of their projects offerings, and I'm very excited for LCX going forward. Also, AllianceBlock. AllianceBlock is another one. AllianceBlock is one that we have been watching for very closely even since last summer. Again, this was another opportunity. We've seen it down at around like 20 some cents. I think I accumulated heavily at around 20 to 25 cents during that time. We were talking about it during this time. It ran up to about $1.20. Was it an incredible move? Not necessarily, because we didn't even get a 10x on it, but it was a quick gain. And from there, it did go back into a massive downtrend. And here we are sitting at number 740, fully diluted market cap of about 47.8 million, almost 48 million. And we are right back to the levels that we've seen going back to 2020. And this is where a lot of the gains were made. Like this is over a 20x to the all-time highs. So again, this one is one that I have been watching for closely. Some of the things that I'm very excited about AllianceBlock is the fact that they are continuously building. They are a huge utility, grade project. And again, here we have, AOBT tokens are the backbone of the AllianceBlock ecosystem. They serve as a multi-purpose tool to be utilized as the primary medium of exchange, means of reward for ecosystem participants, and network fee payment mechanism. In addition, the AOBT token will act as a currency reserve of the ecosystem reserve pool and as a governance token for voting and power delegation. Again, I do think that when we look at this token, I'm very excited for the future about, or I should say around AllianceBlock. They have a ton of ecosystem players within it, and I don't know if they do list their partners on the ecosystem. I believe that they do. I know that they, share a little bit of a vision on what they're trying to. Yeah, so here we have all the partners, but here's like their major vision. They are bridging the traditional finance market to DeFi, and you can see all of the major players that they're going after. Like this token in the future, I do believe is going to be very large. And they do have partnerships with some of our other tokens that we do talk about, like Quant, for example. They do have a partnership with the London Stock Exchange. I do believe that they will be disrupting that area greatly, which is over a $100 trillion market in itself. And Chainlink as well, even Hedera Hashgraph. There's so many other ones on here as well, like Elrond, Polygon, Energy Web Token. There's so much to really kind of dive into this. Like I could talk about AllianceBlock all day long. This is a token that I have been watching for closely. I think that this might be in my top 5 as well. If not, it's in my top 10 at least. As a holding volume and value, by the way. Now, Casper. Casper is my number 1 holding, value-wise, as well as the amount of tokens. Why is that? Well, you go and look at the charts for some of the other tokens that did do a monstrous run during 2021, and a lot of them going back to about like 2020 or even 2019 have been trading in the same fashion as Casper. Casper's in a massive downtrend. It has, for the most part, kind of underperformed going back to the, 2021 timeframe. But also, you got to remember that this token launched at a very weird time. Like the ICO for this was back in like, I want to say March or so. I mean, we actually have the information over here. So it was like March. So yeah, I mean, this is when the ICO or IEO basically ended. The last major one was March 25th just March 25th itself. So again, this token did launch at a very weird time in the market, especially if you go back to 2021. Like I said, I think that a lot of tokens during May of 2021 did top out officially. But this thing has been in a massive downtrend since then. We were really kind of buying back in October. In October, it was trading at about like 10 cents. Did I get hurt on some of these buys? 100%. I did take a little bit of profit at the double, at the 2x placement. I think I took a little bit of my initial investment out. I'm still down heavy on this one. Like I'm in, some deep waters on some of those investments, but I have been accumulating heavy, and I've basically, I want to say, I either doubled or tripled my holdings in just the last 3 months alone. So I've still been buying Casper on almost a weekly basis and putting in some heavy amounts for it because, again, if you look at some of the other major tokens in the space, specifically in regards to like the Casper category, the upside potential on some of these tokens is monstrous. I mean, even if you go and look at Casper at the market cap of, the top 50, the upside potential on Casper is pretty, substantial. And also, Casper is a very incredible utility gem. I consider Casper to be Ethereum 3.0 because of the underlying tech stack behind it. Supply range and total supply, yeah, it's a little bit rough. It doesn't have a max supply, but I still think that is not going to matter too much going into this game long term because, again, what the Casper team has envisioned and what they are building, I do believe that Casper going forward is going to be a very large asset to be holding, and I think that it's going to give a lot of individuals a ton of, opportunity in this market to not only sell at some incredible levels, but also be able to buy other tokens with the amount of money that you do make on Casper, which is my end goal. My end goal here is to make a ton of money on some of these assets and kind of disperse those funds that I'm making from these assets into other low cap gems or undervalued utility gems like QNT, XRP, etc. It all depends on what the market is doing at that time, but that is what I have been doing for the most part. It's just kind of swing trading whenever we do see some major run ups. But Casper is an asset that I have been buying heavily within the 2 to 3 cent range, and I will continue to do so until we start to kind of break out a little bit. And recently, Casper has been making some incredible moves within this market technologically, but also even fundamentally. And talking about the Casper token itself, it is the native token to the Casper network as a proof of stake blockchain. Casper relies on Casper to reward the validators that participate in the POS consensus mechanism to secure and uphold the network. Casper users also rely on Casper to pay network fees for on-chain actions. The Casper token will be available only through CoinList for the initial public token sale. Once Casper lockup period ends, we anticipate the token to be available through our platforms per jurisdiction compliance. And also for anybody who does want to buy Casper, I highly advise you to get it on MEXC. This is not because I'm partnered with them or anything like that. I think that MEXC is the best exchange to utilize for Casper simply because of the no lockup periods. I used to utilize Uphold a lot for Casper, but since then I've moved away from them because it is just absolutely ridiculous with their lockup periods, and Casper is not withdrawable at all right now. So if you want to stake your Casper tokens, I highly advise to use MEXC. I have absolutely zero issues with them. A lot of individuals that have signed up for MEXC as well gave me back some of their feedback on MEXC. They said that it was a dream to utilize because, again, there's no holding, time frames or anything like that. Like, they're not locking your tokens. You are in full control. You could withdraw immediately, which I personally love to see. But yes, Casper is a project that I've been watching for closely. If you guys have been a fan of the channel, you know that I've been talking about Casper for well over a year now almost. And when we look at Casper, like I said, that CBC Casper specifications that it is built upon is huge because Ethereum is trying to move towards that. And, we are already ahead of Ethereum 2.0, but we're already ahead on the Ethereum 3.0 technological advancements as well. So, when we really kind of look at Casper, it's years ahead of Ethereum, and it has been moving very quickly in regards to development as well as, some major updates within the fundamental range too. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of partnerships, a lot of things blossoming on the Casper network as well. So I do believe that going forward, Casper will ultimately give a ton of, I think that when we look at the upside potential on Casper, I could easily see this at $1 plus, which is still very good. But in the long run, I'm looking at this at about like $3 plus because, again, when we look at a lot of the layer ones in the space, when we look at like some of the top 10 projects or even top 20 projects, again, it all starts at a point like this, a similar point like this. And to me, where we are at now in regards to the price chart is very similar to what we've seen with some of the top tokens in the space, where they have this rough sort of start out phase, and this slowly becomes like this, where we have like a major run up. So to me, in regards to the chart, the price range right now, do I care if I'm buying at 3 cents, 2 cents? Not really, when I'm looking at the upside potential long term at around like the 3 to even like $10 at some point in time. Now, is that going to happen in the next cycle? Not necessarily. I'm more so in the next cycle looking at roughly the $1 to $3 range. If we go any higher than that, then that will be incredible. AllianceBlock, I'm still kind of looking at that $1.20 range, but ultimately I could see this going to about like $5 realistically. And LCX doesn't really have a cap to me. I think that this thing could easily run to about $1.50 to $3. If we can get to like $5 plus, that would be awesome. If we are looking at LCX becoming like the next BNB or something like that, if they could move pretty quickly on that, with all of their project offerings, I could definitely see this being at like a, give or take 10 to possibly $20 range long term. I don't feel confident enough to give any sort of price predictions on LCX in the next cycle. I'm more so kind of looking at market cap. If I had to put a market cap on LCX, I would say like anywhere between $1 to $10 billion for market cap is something that I'm watching for. And same goes with like AllianceBlock as well. Like I think that these at like a $1 billion market cap is kind of more realistic. When we look at like Casper, again, like the $1 billion, market cap range for this is not too substantial, but it's anywhere between like the 1 to 10 billion range. I think that that's a safe bet on all three of these. But again, we don't know exactly where this market will, lead to. I'm just going to be holding these until my levels are personally hit. On LCX, I'm really kind of looking at the dollar plus range. On all three of these tokens, I'm really kind of looking at the dollar plus range at this current moment in time. And these being in like the, 1 to 10 cent region is pretty interesting to me, because again, like, you don't need a ton of money to make a ton of gains on all three of these tokens, which I'd personally love to see. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.